Well, we're live audio, so all the people that are joining early get a little behind-the-scenes look.
Yeah, we see how you're making faces at
Yeah,
the
well,
camera.
smile all the time.
You know, if you smile, it raises your endorphins.
Does it?
Even if you don't feel like
Got a
smiling.
nurse. I got a
and
nurse
you
here.
force a smile. It helps with the healing process too. Force a smile.
I'm a believer.
Yeah.
So how does this work? You prepare the script,
Yeah.
and then I'm a pretty face just reading it, I guess.
Yeah, well,
right?
you taught me everything I
Yeah,
know.
okay, so that works.
This was on the job training.
That works. Yeah. Got a pen here.
Yeah. Oh, I got a prettier pen than you.
You do?
Yeah,
I
you
got a
need a
bunch of
red,
things
white, and
over there.
blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, whenever I put my pen down and marks around, the pen disappears.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's
or my
not,
glasses.
That's not a nice pen. If it was a nice one, I would take it.
Or my glasses, they disappear too. The wine, I want it Malbec. This is like a. Can
All right, 50 seconds, 50 seconds.
Can you put Malbec in from now on?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do that. I thought looking at later whiskey.
That's
right?
later on. Yeah. This
That's
is
too early for that.
This is actually Costco Italian
What makes it
sparkling.
Italian?
Italian sparkling.
Water from
yeah.
where? From Boca Raton?
30 seconds.
How do you get Italian water?
Some Italian guy. Here's your water. Who knows? 30 seconds, I hear. So no opening.
20 seconds.
Our opening got lost.
Okay.
We
We'll
can
find it.
We can handle it.
Mark will find day.
It's on a floor in there.
He works miracles.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Showtime.
It's showtime. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Trento Hour with Tom Trento.
Hey.
Our mission is to make America think again. As you can see behind me,
yeah.
M-A-T-A. Can you see that? Make
Sort of.
America
They
You have to
think
talk in the
again.
mic when you do that, Steve.
Make America think again. Now, of course, our agenda is we're on a spiritual battle for America. And we have guests today that will certainly solidify our objectives and tell us, we're going to learn a lot today. We have our guest, Loomer, is coming on. And of course, she's the Republican nominee for the 21st District. And she is well positioned to win this race, running against lazy Lois Franco.
Lazy Lois.
Lazy
Franco.
Lois. And then we have another very special guest, and that's Roger Stone. So we really look forward to hearing
The
from
Roger
him.
Stone?
The
We
Roger
have the
Stone.
Roger Stone?
Yeah, all
Oh,
I
that's
had
good.
to say is the Tom Trento would
Yeah.
like to have the Roger Stone on the show, and of course he said gladly.
There we go. And what about tonight? What are we doing tonight?
Tonight we have a huge Jexit event, very well attended. There are still a few spots. So what you could do is come. It's being held at the Hilton at the airport in West Palm Beach. The Jexit event is Jews exiting the Democrat Party, but you don't need to be Jewish. We have lots of people that are coming that are not Jewish, but there are going to be probably about 20 prominent speakers, people who are coming to share information about how important it is to know what's going on for this particular election and know what's at stake, know how important it is to vote and to vote wisely. And you're going to hear from some amazing speakers, amazing talent. We have Sig Licker. Our hosts are going to be Tom Trento and also Sophia, you'll have to help me with her last name.
Manalesco.
Talent herself. They are the MCs, and Roger Stone will be speaking as well. Laura, of course, will be there, along with, as I said, another 15 speakers. So you don't want to miss this. This is truly going to be an amazing event. Only $10 at the door. And what a lot of people, some people are concerned group events, wear a mask if that makes you feel comfortable, and keep a distance. We're certainly going to encourage that, but we're going to make it as safe as we possibly can.
We're pretty
so that
full, though.
everybody can come and be a part of this amazing historical event.
We're reaching capacity, though. We're getting close to capacity. Let everybody know. So if you,
We are reaching capacity,
yeah,
but there's
it's
still
a-
some room. There's no
it's a-
VIP space left.
It's a
So
COVID capacity where they spread everything out. So it isn't everybody jammed in.
yeah, we're being sensitive,
safe.
of course, to this time, and making sure that we arrange the room in a way that's safe for everybody. And wear a mask if that feels most comfortable for you, and we will take care of the rest. So we look forward. There'll be some very, very, very light snacks. There will be some items that could be purchased for food. Oh, and it's the starting time. That's important. It starts at 5 p.m. and it goes to, I believe it's around
5
9
o'clock is the
o'clock.
VIP, so don't come at 5 o'clock. 6 o'clock is when everything starts.
6
So come
o'clock.
about 5:30. There's no more VIP space. That's tonight, the Palm International Airport in West Palm Beach. And it's going to be a wonderful event, big rally. If you can't, and you want to be there in person, but if you can't, we are live streaming it. We're going to stream it out so you can watch it right here at theunitedwest.org. Big event, big, very, very critical event, strategic event. Donald Trump is pulling ahead like crazy in the state of Florida, even though the leftist media has Biden, the poor guy. I mean, the poor guy. What time is Laura coming on?
She's on right
All
now.
right, well,
actually.
before we get to Laura, today is a very happy day. We have our show. We're so happy about that. And this evening is going to be a phenomenal event. And so there's a lot to be happy about. 2 years ago today was a very sad day, extremely sad day. 2 years ago today, we lost the fella that if you're watching at the United West, you see a Israeli soldier, and he's got his kippah on. There's thousands of pictures of this gentleman online. He was a very, very close friend of ours, a close friend of Israel, born in New York, made Aliyah, lived there his whole life, joined the Army, was still in the Army at 45 years old, but was really an ambassador for Israel worldwide. And 2 years ago today, 2 years ago, we were at the embassy moving, all of us, and he was with us. And then on the 16th of September, a couple of months after we came home, he was standing in his little shopping area, and an 18-year-old kid runs up with his back turned. He's talking on the phone with his back turned. This kid runs up and stabs him in the neck and the back, and hit his lung and his neck. And our buddy Ari Fould, turned around, drew his weapon, chased the terrorist, a Muslim terrorist, shot him. Kid kept going, finally was caught, but Fould died a couple hours later in the hospital.
Yes.
So we want to
Tragic.
just remember Ari, our dear friend, today, 2 years ago. And we've dedicated a lot to him. We'll dedicate this day and this event to him, Ari Fould and his wife and family.
and Laura actually spent a lot of time with him one day, going to the
Oh,
city.
that's right. Hey,
Yeah.
Laura, you're there, right?
Yeah, I've been on.
Now, yeah, tell us the little adventure Ari took you on one night.
Yeah, so Ari and I had been following each other online for a while, and reposting each other's content. And I got to spend the day with him in Jerusalem the day that the embassy was moved, and we were up on the hill reporting on the embassy move, and then also reporting on the Palestinian protests that broke out. And I remember one night we had all finished dinner, and we were eating at some smokehouse, and we're there till about 10:30 at night. And then Ari was talking about how it's great to sometimes walk through East Jerusalem in the evening because you get to see everything by yourself and there's not a lot of crowds. And so he took me to East Jerusalem, in the evening, about 11:30 to midnight, or 1 o'clock in the morning. And we were just able to see so much. I mean, I've never met anybody who knows Israeli history more than Ari.
Yeah, when Laura says East Jerusalem, she's talking about that part of Jerusalem that are sworn enemies of Jews, of anybody. They want to get rid of Israel, And Ari he had his weapon with him, but you know, if you got 100 people coming at you, very brave guy. He would take a couple of people walking through, and the Arabs would look at him, but they really feared him. That was some experience.
Hey, I want to tell a little backstory about Laura and going to East Jerusalem, because we're down there, and she's like, "I want to Gaza." Go, no, Laura, you don't Gaza. No, that's a bad idea. No, I get security. No, Laura, you don't want to go to that. And finally, after like
we were actually supposed to go. We were gonna go on the next trip.
I'm just trying to. I'm trying to give a backstory on you, Laura, because so the hot zones and stuff like that. Said, okay, take Ari. Let's take you over to one of the bad areas. And that's the way you are. I mean, you just wanted to go and go and go. Go face the fire and everything like that.
You know what you can do, Laura, when you get sworn in as the youngest congresswoman in the United States Congress, you can get the squad to you and Rashida and AOC, and you go visit.
There you go.
Oh,
You have a little party. They get you in.
Yeah, I believe they're banned from Israel for being such vile anti-Semites, if I recall.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're
You know,
banned. They don't let them in.
Good.
But not from Gaza.
I never had the
That's right.
pleasure of meeting Ari, but I did meet his wife. And Laura, we have a mutual friend, Jane Ruby. She and I were walking through the Jewish quarter in Jerusalem, and then we somehow took a wrong turn, and we ended up into the Arab quarter. And as we were walking through, we realized we were in a different space, and it became a little bit eerie and a little uncomfortable. And but then we saw a sign, and there was Hebrew. And there was a little storefront in the old city in the Arab quarter, and it was a place that was set there in memory of Ari Fold. And Jane Ruby and I are walking, and we did Israeli soldiers felt more comfortable just to be escorted through that area. It was late. It was at night. It was after the Independence Day celebration in front of the Kotel. And then, you know, all of a sudden when you realize you're in this different space and you realize you're a minority, that there were a lot of Arabs that were kind of forcing their way through where we were walking. But we did ask the Israeli soldiers, and they walked us over to this, and then we saw the store in Hebrew, and we felt like a sense of comfort because we felt a little more protected. And they had a space there, a little storefront. They offered free water. Ari's wife was there along with a lot of representatives from Efrat, which city where Ari lived, and just telling stories, sharing information about Ari.
That was a year later, a year after he had died.
That was a year after,
Yeah.
yes. And then actually his wife then took us through so that we could leave to go out through the quarter to get back to our hotel. She's just a very strong,
woman.
dynamic, amazing woman with resolve and strength, and you know, represents her family so well, and is continuing to raise her kids, and they're an upstanding people who the whole community has helped and banded together to help them move on and be the best they can be.
Yeah, they're doing the best they can. Hey, if you're just tuning in, it's Tom Trento here with Susie Gold, Mark in the room, Laura on the phone. We're going to get to her. You got some questions for Laura, I know that. Mary North flying the Starship. We're flying the Starship United West. We are the United West. And you guys are talking a lot about Israel. We spend time in Israel. Dr. Ronnie Wexler, who's an Israeli, has a tour company, brought many times, and we bring groups to learn about the national security importance of Israel. And if you don't believe it, look at what happened at the White House yesterday. And we're going to have a whole that Friday with Ronnie Wexler and Claire Lopez, former CIA.
That's going to be exciting.
But we're an organization that's dedicated to fighting Islamic jihadism, defending Israel, defending the Constitution. Tomorrow, Constitution Day, we have E.W. Jackson, the pastor, coming on, telling us about Constitution Day. And we have Kevin Sorbo. Kevin Sorbo will be in studio. He's got a new movie called Climate Hoax 2. And he's going to tell us all about the movie tomorrow. So WNN 1470 AM 95.3 and a few other stations too. You find us on. And now I know you got some questions
Yeah,
for
I
Laura.
have a question that I have been thinking about for a long time, and Laura, I speak from time, and I never asked, but here you are, the most banned woman in the world from from social media, bang, Uber, Twitter, and more, and censorship. That they're trying to shut you up because of your conservative views, and you take the narrative, and also you're Jewish, and that may play a part of it as well. So you have made such incredible headway. People know Laura Loomer. People back Laura Loomer. You have done absolutely incredible in your campaign. You are represent the 21st district so well. But how have you gotten name out? How have you gotten the visibility without having all of these resources?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. And, you know, we're living in an era right now where social media dominates a lot of our communications. And so it's definitely been an uphill battle, but we have a really robust ground game, a lot of volunteers, and we have momentum behind our race. And we're outworking Lois Frankel, we're outraising Lois Frankel, and we're actually putting in the work to win this race. And we will win this race in November. And it's just about communicating with people. And look, you know, just there was an article in Breitbart yesterday about how Lois Frankel supports a ban on my ads. Okay, this is America. We don't live in communist China, right? Or at least not yet. And for Lois Frankel to call for my ads to be banned when I am the official nominee for the Republican Party here in District 21, you know, she's supporting election interference. It's a form of voter suppression, and it's disrespectful, and it's a slap in the face to the voters of District 21 who nominated me to be their Republican nominee. And so I think it's really frightening that we have representatives in Congress who just want to ban people if they're conservative. It's completely un-American, and we're not going to have free and fair elections in this country if we continue to allow for this to stand. I mean, she's a sitting U.S. Congresswoman, so I would expect her to have knowledge of the Constitution and the First Amendment. And if she doesn't, well, perhaps she ought to retire.
And you know what, Laura, you are a true leader, and you show strength and resolve to stand for what you believe in, representing the majority of the people in your district and across the country. So congratulations to you, because you are a great example to all people, to the youth, and to everybody. So I'm threatened by you,
Yeah.
and even so that for you to continue to great work that you're doing, and you represent us so well. I look forward to you sitting in the position that you should be within. So thank you for doing for everybody. Tell us, how's your camp? Give us information. What is it that you are doing that you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, you know, we're running a strong ground game. So if you want to get involved in knocking doors, or you want to make phone calls, or you know, participate in sign waving events, every day there's a different campaign activity and volunteer work that needs to be done. And so you can go to lauraloomerforcongress.com. That's lauraloomerforcongress.com, where you can get more information. You can sign up to volunteer. It's where you can donate, because we need volunteers and we need donations to flip Florida 21 red.
Mm-hmm.
Laura, I'm sure you're aware of this. Bloomberg just committed $100 million. $100 million. We need money here at the United West. $100 million. We don't even need $1 million, but we do need some money to finish the campaign. $100 million to defeat the president. I don't think the Democrat Party is going to let let Lois lose that seat. So, and I'm sure you're aware, and Karen's aware, your strategy. They're going to come in. The Democrat Party is going to come in with money. Lois hasn't run a campaign in probably 6 years because no one's been against her.
Because she's
She has to
lazy.
run a campaign.
She's lazy. She's
lazy. So she doesn't know how to run a game and all this stuff.
Right.
So they're going to.
But as we saw with Michael Bloomberg's $750 million failed presidential campaign, you can put all the money you want into a district, or you can put all the money you want into an election. I mean, just look at the race between Hillary Clinton and President Trump. Look at the primary in Florida, where you had Jeb Bush spending $150 million, and how much did President Trump or then candidate Trump spend? So yeah, it's a lot of money, but he's pushing all that money into Florida because they don't have support from the Latinos, and these are really big populations and groups of people that are going to have a huge impact on this election. And I'm sure you saw the viral video of Kamala Harris and her husband walking into the Venezuelan restaurant in Miami, and she didn't even ask for permission to go to this restaurant before coming in with her cameras and completely taking over and disrupting the place. And the Venezuelans, you have Venezuelans who are escaping communism, they're escaping socialism. And he said, our restaurant is not supposed to be used for political reasons. And he disavowed Kamala Harris. And so they don't even have support from the people where they're hosting their events. And their campaign has been an absolute disaster so far. So, of course, Michael Bloomberg is going to pump $100 million into Florida. We have a lot of Latino voters here, and it's a swing state.
Yeah, they're gonna come after you. You know that, and the truth is what wins out these situations.
I want to.
All right, we're gonna have to look in a minute,
I
but
got this. Put $100 million into it. I've got
everything
into, but it's really, really good. Take of it, please, Tom.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
So
Look, the buyers, they're gonna get 60% of that money, and it's going to be pissed away on stupid TV.
But it also showed, look, Kamala really her and her campaign do their homework by going into this restaurant. Came out, there was a Trump rally outside.
Yeah, it was a Trump rally.
Flags that are just waving Trump. So it was like, what was she thinking?
We're gonna see you this evening at our Jexit United West this evening. That will be live streaming. I want you to be over 300 people, I believe, coming. We're going to have a special recognition of Laura and the amazing work she has done in this race, in this key, in the election, key district in a state, and Laura's in them. So we will recognize you. Have a one day, and bless you and your work. We'll see you tonight.
Great speaking to you, Laura.
You too. Have a good day.
All right. Bye-bye. See you tonight.
Bye.
Yeah, we will. We have a little special set up.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear that. I didn't know that. And that's,
I've been here a long time in South Florida, in this district. Lois has been representing me for 30 years or so, either as the mayor of West Palm, or she was in the state house, state senate in Florida, then became the mayor of West Palm. I had a lot of dealings with her with that. She is a nitwit. She is really not a smart person. She simply knows how to get the old Jewish people in her district to vote for her.
You know what they do? Her, along with the other Democrats, they throw out a few Yiddish words, and the people eat it up, and the Jews eat it up, and they think, oh, she's great. She's so connected, and it's not. It's just false. It's dishonest, and it's not real. It's just to get votes. That's it. And then when she's there, she's Lazy Lois.
Lazy Lois. And look, Lazy Lois is invited anytime to come on the show. We need to reach out to her and send her a formal invitation. She can come on. She can Zoom in. She can come in the studio. She can do whatever she wants. We would love to have her here and talk about policy issues, talk about local issues, talk about statewide issues, talk about she's a federally elected official, talk about federal issues, talk about amendments, the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, the 29th one, the 28th one. Talk about Israel. She's viewed, use a looking glass that's been painted over. It's almost opaque. She appears to support Israel. Oh, I support Israel.
Sure.
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah. Jewish friends, I support Israel. And then if you go to the Israelis and say, these are the policies this person supports, they'd say, that's not supporting Israel.
Right. Not
the Israelis
one Democrat was at the move of the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. What's that all
How come
about?
she wasn't there?
I got called Deutsch. I
Yeah.
said, why weren't you there? Oh, you're so supportive of Israel. This is a significant, momentous occasion. No Democrat was there.
I think it was Hannity last night. It's phenomenal. He ran a montage of all leftists from MSNBC, CNN. Then he went to the networks, and he had very prominent people stating definitively on the record, categorically, without doubt, when Trump moves the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and they went through the apocalypse. There's going to be rioting in the
Right.
streets. Muslim nations are going to attack. Bombs are going to be falling. You know, it's the end of the world decision ever. It's crazy. He's a killer, diabolical killer, all this stuff. And we were there, and we're back. There were no
Nothing
problems.
happened. Nothing happened.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, if you one of the philosophical doctrines is strong horse, weak horse. It's simplified. A strong horse prevails, a weak horse dies. The Islam respects strength.
That's right.
When Donald Trump and Netanyahu got together and we're going to do this, and they walked their talk, they projected, followed through with strength. That pushes back in the Islam world because they read it theologically. They say, "Oh, Allah must have a different for us right now." They know physically they can't defeat the United States and Israel, and all their stupid little balloon attacks, that's going nowhere. That has no strategic value. So they cop out by saying, Allah has given us time to strengthen.
Oh,
We're strengthening now. We'll come back another time. And the same thing happened with the negotiations with these Arab countries. And Trump keeps saying, I got 4 or 5 or 6 more coming
That's
online
right.
here.
Wait a minute. And what did Nancy Pelosi say? Here we have now the UAE, Bahrain, who now there's peace with Israel. What an incredible
She was
time in
questioned.
history. And what did she say?
She was questioned yesterday. Can't you give Donald Trump any credit for in the Middle East? Her dentures were falling out.
She
going,
said it was a
It was a
distraction.
distraction. A distraction from all the people that are dying from COVID, right? A distraction.
She could not even give credit.
Peace in the Middle East. What this country and the world has been looking for. This man, Donald Trump, along with Netanyahu, 2 people that the world really respects, but the left will tell you they don't. They bring strength to the Middle East. And for now, there's going to be peace.
And stability. Yeah, this
Will
is
there
going
be
to be
crazies,
some
of
whack
course.
And Louis
jobs and
Frankel.
wackos, but coming out of the woodwork. But this was absolutely
It's historic. Yep.
And and it's not noted, should have in mainstream media, and that's deplorable.
You're listening to Tom and Susie Q here at 9:29 in the morning on the East Coast in Florida time. And we're on WNN 1470
We're
AM.
on
Oh, yeah,
1470
do the whole
AM,
thing, yeah.
96.9 FM, 95.3 FM, and of course YouTube and on the UnitedWest.org website. You could look at our most recent shows and others from the past.
And we got Roger Stone coming up in a couple of minutes. And Mark, you had something about Lazy Lois?
Yeah, Lois Frankel said she didn't want to kill Soleimani with the terrorist.
Oh,
said-
right. She
she
thought
said-
that would be a
She
problem.
said that would be a problem if we killed a terrorist.
That's another excellent example. Soleimani, General Soleimani, the Iranian, this guy should have been killed a long time ago because our worldwide intelligence agencies concluded that he was directly responsible for a unique type of bomb that had a concave element to it and was made out of certain materials, and it can go inside the hardened equipment of soldiers and then create massive explosion and fires. And I think the figure was that 800 Americans were killed for his, I think they were called EFPs. And we know he did it. He was behind it. His signature was on it. And Trump initiated an attack that took him out. The world is going to explode again. But Iran backed off tremendously. Unbelievable.
Yeah, well,
You're right,
their
Mark.
predictions do not come true.
So what do we got going on?
So we have, we're
Is
gonna
Roger
wait,
here yet?
is Roger on?
He's not here yet, no.
Not here yet? All right, we're waiting for Roger. Busy guy, Roger Stone. Why don't you tell a little bit about his background so we don't have to do that when he comes on?
Okay.
If they don't know about Roger Stone. I mean, how could you not know about Roger
Everybody's
Stone?
heard about Roger
Go ahead.
Stone, right? And he will be at the Jexit event tonight, which is a real treat. And those who are VIPs will be able to spend some time with all of the speakers.
Get your picture
at the
taken with
event.
Roger
Get your
Stone.
picture taken. You could talk to them. You could ask them questions. But Roger, for those that do not know, he is a American conservative political consultant, a lobbyist. He was, let's see, since the 1970s, Stone worked on campaigns from Republican politicians like Richard Nixon, like Reagan, Kemp, Dole, Bush, and of course Donald Trump. He's a longtime friend of Donald Trump. And he is, let's see, over the Trump campaign, there's a lot that has been said, which I know up in this interview, about his most recent history and how President Trump has commuted his sentence, which is something that will be a big topic of this conversation today. There was a lot of falsehoods and there was a lot of negative that came from because of convictions, and some have said witness tampering, and we'll talk about that this morning with Roger. And but you know, he is a free man, and he is a veteran Republican strategist. Is that the right way to say that?
Strategist. It's all right.
Well, that's
You
why
sound
I
like
have
George-
you here to correct me.
You sound like George Bush.
No, nuclear. What did he say?
Strategery. He used to say strategery instead of strategy. I was doing a video once.
Okay.
The what? What'd you say, Mark?
He just.
Roger, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Good morning, Roger.
Hi, you're with Tom Trento and Susie Gold here. We'll see
Good
you
morning.
this evening, Roger. You're going to be at the Jexit event. You're one of our featured speakers. How you doing?
I'm looking forward to it. Now that I actually got Zoom to work properly, I'm even happier.
Oh, there you are right there.
There you are. Good to see you.
I know, the first tricky, and the Chinese are probably, but who cares, right? So here's the deal. I got a couple questions for you, and Susie has one. Last night, Stephanopoulos had it on in a hall. We gave about your background already, and it was fascinating. You had a chance to see it. But James Carville, the washed up, retread Carville, tweets today, the president is desperate. What would he do in a hall like this and put himself out there? He's desperate, so he knows he's behind, and he goes into an environment which is not his strength. Now, you know the president, you understand strategy, you understand media. Can you understand what Carville was talking about, please?
Well, the problem lies not in any fear the president might have of answering questions. I actually think that he's really best in that format because, unlike most of the political leaders in America, he's not phony, he's not artificial. Unlike, say, Joe Biden, who is being fed the answers on a teleprompter, even when he does Q&A, the president speaks from the heart. Because he's genuine, because he's authentic, it's kind of exciting because he will tell you what he really thinks. What Carville, I think, is referring to, and here he's not wrong, is why in the world would anyone go into any forum that was moderated by a guy, George Stephanopoulos, who is not a journalist, who is not impartial, who is not honest, who's been a harsh critic of the president's, and who, while he has had this job, has been a major contributor to the Clinton Foundation. Proof positive that he's not a journalist. He's just a smart-ass short guy with very little talent. And I don't know why you would go into such an environment. While we're at it, why would you ever speak to Bob Woodward, on the telephone? He lied about Watergate. The entire narrative that he gives us of Watergate is false. I have an upcoming book that proves that, although my previous book, Nixon's Secrets, does a pretty good job. He lies about the death of John Belushi in his second most famous book. Belushi's family has complained bitterly about the inaccuracies in that book. He lies about former CIA Director Bill Casey in his book on the CIA. Casey's family has complained directly to me about the misrepresentations in that book. You can always tell when Bob Woodward is lying. His lips are moving. So why would you? Why? And he's a globalist. He's the toast of the celebrity. I'm not sure why the president would have a conversation with him, other than what I have read, which is that Jared Kushner recommended it and approved it. Perhaps that's inexperience on his part, but part of this false media assault on the president, which we've seen really stepped up, because this Atlantic Magazine article is a complete fraud. The president has never denigrated members of our military. Mr. Goldberg, Jeffrey Goldberg, who wrote it, has a long history as a liar, as a disinformationist. He's been called out on his phony anonymous sources in the past. This story has nobody's name on it. 4 anonymous people said. That means it didn't happen. That's not journalism. That's fakery. Now, within minutes, the Biden campaign has TV commercials about the president denigrating our fallen soldiers without any proof whatsoever that this ever happened, because it didn't. It is really frightening and very maddening to see the distortions. I'll give you another one while I'm at it. Roger Stone told the president to declare martial law and seize ultimate power if he lost. Go read my interview. Go read the transcript. It's not even remotely close to what I said. But that doesn't stop the usual suspects, Vanity Fair and Business Insider and The Guardian and the rest of the muckraking left-wing fake news media from promulgating this falsehood. Read the interviews, not what I said, but what I did say was, if there is enormous and overwhelming evidence of fraud, of ballot fraud, if there's evidence that this election has been stolen, and if the left is trying to ratchet up violence in our cities to force through a false election, then the president has every right and every prerogative to use every power available to him, up to and including the Insurrection Act and martial law. That's quite different than if the president lost, which of course I never said.
And you were there. I mean, you got caught up in the total Russian hoax nonsense, where they cook the books on the FISA warrants, and then the media picks that up. They put their machine in play. But look, you've been at this a long time. I've been at this a long time. This is what they do. They're doing it to a different degree. Do you think it's resonating with and I'm not big on the independent voter. To me, is somebody that doesn't know what they believe. How could you look at the two parties and say, my beliefs are over here because they're so uniquely distinct? But do you think any of this extreme attack on the president is resonating at all with a logical, independent person right now?
I'm afraid that it is, to a certain extent. I mean, first of all, independents, the number of people who say they're not a member or follower of either party continues to grow. There's a reason for that. It's because both parties over the last 30 years, with the exception of Donald Trump, have largely been identical. They've given you the same policies: endless foreign war, erosion of civil liberties, insane immigration policies, fiscal policies that have had our debt load increase, have our tax rates be confiscatory. Don't blame the voters if they're confused when they look at the Bushes and the Clintons and they wake up and figure out that their policies are exactly the same. All that's different is the window dressing. I'm afraid because of the combination of internet censorship of conservatives, libertarians, Christians, Trump supporters, really anybody who isn't a liberal, combined with the persistence of a fake news media that continues to drum the same nonsense again, that it is having some impact, which I think is one of the things that explains why the president remains behind in some polls, and I think legitimately slightly behind in a number of polls. This relentless torrent of fake news has an effect, and the not very sophisticated voter, call them the casual voter, they are to a certain extent buying some of these lies because the lies are ubiquitous and the repetition is incredible, and that is a very real concern.
That is a very, very big concern. And here our show, Make America Think Again, our show is designed to put information out, factual information to make people think, but intelligently. Our mission is to mobilize 1,000,001 additional evangelicals. We have between 1 million and 3 million evangelicals not voting in the state of Florida. Trump won by 112,000 votes. And we're doing a good job at that, and we're going to prevail. He's going to win in this state. But along those lines, we can talk for hours, but where I'm from, I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, a Sicilian family in Jersey. And when my Uncle Vinny or my Uncle Joey wasn't around, I'd say, "Where's Uncle Joey?" And go, "Oh, he's on vacation. He went on vacation for a while." My family used to go on a lot of vacations, right? Well, you've been on vacation a few months, and you had a time behind bars.
No,
You're out.
actually, Tom, I don't want to interrupt you, but actually, thanks to God, I never really served time. I was sentenced, despite all precedents, all current law, all current regulation of both the Department of Justice and the Bureau of Prisons, to surrender to a COVID-infested prison, unlike Michael Avenatti, unlike Rick Gates, unlike Paul Manafort, unlike Michael Cohen, all of whom were moved to home confinement. But the government, because they fear my appeal will expose their whole scam on Russian collusion, they wanted me at 67 and with asthma, a lifetime history of it, to be sent immediately to incarceration. I appealed that. The DC Circuit Court, despite the precedent of all other people who've been convicted of nonviolent crimes, who are of my age and about to be incarcerated in every circuit in the country, including DC, contrary again to the rules of BOP and DOJ as laid out by the Attorney General, contrary to the facts regarding my age and health, and in denial about the situation in which they claimed that the prison they wanted to send me had no COVID patients when it had over 200, the DC Circuit Court ruled that I'd be incarcerated immediately. 2 hours later, the president commuted my sentence. You see, we do have two-tier justice system. Kamala Harris is absolutely right. There's one system of justice for Comey, Clapper, Brennan, McCabe, Hillary, Rosenstein, or Mueller. Every one of them lied to Congress about something material, something significant. None of them have been prosecuted. None of them will be prosecuted. But Roger Stone, he supports Donald Trump. He has to be sent to prison immediately. So thanks, frankly, to my recommitment to Jesus Christ, thanks to my prayers, God heard me, and he gave the president the strength and the courage in an election year to spare my life. Because what they gave me for the alleged crime of lying to Congress, essentially manufactured because nothing I made a misstatement about was material or significant, they essentially gave me the death penalty. My real crime, supporting Donald Trump, period.
Yeah, we all were that evening. WWNN is there just coincidentally, and it looked like a SEAL Team 6 going after Bin Laden into Roger's house. That whole deal. Not being behind bars, you were not a free man for many, many months. And my question would be about the person of Roger Stone, because I had heard him where you started speaking about a recommitment to tell us, tell us a little about what that means in your life now.
Sure. Well, first of all, there can be no more horrific experience than being targeted with the full force of the federal government, in my case, by totally partisan, bloodthirsty, politically motivated prosecutors. This idea that the four prosecutors in my case, Jonathan Kravis, notorious for his illegal harassment of Congressman Ron Paul's presidential candidacy, a man with a long record of misconduct. Aaron Zelinsky, a pompous bully from Yale, who has lied to Congress extensively about the entire process of my sentencing. I'm going to be filing a formal complaint against him with the Department of Justice and with the bar, and I will not rest until he has been disciplined and disbarred. Michael Mirando, he left my prosecution to go to work immediately for Facebook, where he arranged for me to be banned for life, another leftist scumbag. And then lastly, Adam Jed, who argued the gay marriage case for the Obama administration and who defrauded the court, the DC Circuit Court, in one of my proceedings. There'll be a complaint against that criminal as well. These people are constantly described by the mainstream media as non-political career prosecutors. Really? Kravis worked in the Obama White House as a legal hitman for Barack Obama. Aaron Zelinsky, that pompous load of garbage, worked at the State Department as a counselor for Hillary Clinton, specifically on covering up her State Department WikiLeaks leaks, proving that she is responsible for Benghazi and the 4 men who died there.
Yep, absolutely.
Mirando proved to be a scumbag during the trial, and Jed, as I just said, lied during the trial. So a time came where it became clear to me that Judge Amy Berman Jackson would rule against us on every pretrial motion, that she disallowed every powerful line of defense. The jury was stacked with Trump haters, not one evangelical Christian, not one military veteran, not one Republican, not one independent, not one conservative, not one Roman Catholic. No, they were ethically diverse, but they were ideologically totally simpatico. Every single member of my jury hated Donald Trump's guts, but that's a jury of your peers in DC. And then it became very clear to me that the jury forewoman was cheating, that in 2019, she had attacked me by name at the time of my arrest, at the time of my indictment, and attacked the president on social media, both Twitter and Facebook, that she had all of those posts on a private setting during jury selection and the trial. And after the trial, she deleted them. That's a stacked deck. Everybody thought so, but Judge Amy Berman Jackson. And it became clear to me that I was doomed in a rigged system. And therefore, many pastors, my own Catholic church here in Fort Lauderdale, Father Michael Grady, a number of good friends who were active in their churches urged me to turn to the Lord. I waited too long to do it. Frankly, I should have done it earlier. I read the Psalms and I read some of the Proverbs, but I just wasn't feeling it. It wasn't giving me the comfort or the strength that I needed. And then finally, I had the opportunity in January to meet Reverend Franklin Graham. I had seen Billy Graham preach as a boy when I was around 12 years old in Bridgeport, Connecticut. The tent revival was one of the most memorable things in my early childhood. So I took that meeting with Reverend Graham, and he told me point blank, if you will recommit yourself to Jesus Christ, if you will confess your sins, if you will pledge to walk in his way, I absolutely guarantee you God will protect you from your persecutors. God will not abandon you. This will all turn out fine, but you have to be sincere in your pledge to the Lord. Minutes later, in a field with 400 other Christians, I took that pledge. I knew that the elitist, phony jerks in the mainstream fake media would mock me for it. They don't believe in Christ at all. They don't believe in anything other than money and power and the globalist agenda. I knew that they would make fun of me and that there would be cartoons and editorials. There's a particularly vicious piece in the Washington Monthly. How did they know what's in my heart? How did they know whether I have a commitment to Christ? Only two people know, or one entity and myself. As long as he knows what's in your heart, it doesn't really matter what anybody else say. Here I am today, walking proof that God will provide, walking proof that prayer matters. But for the grace of God, I would be on my way to my death, if not dead already, of COVID. So I'm eternally grateful to the Lord. I'm eternally grateful to the president. But that is the true story of what transpired.
Wow.
And I am happy now to be able to go into churches around the country and tell my story, because it's not about me. Doesn't matter if your problem is drug problems or alcohol problems or family problems or relationship problems or health problems or financial problems. God will help you. God will protect you if you will walk in his way. It's this up there with meeting and marrying my wife. This is the greatest single decision I've ever made. I'm at peace with it. I'm back to battling because yesterday it was announced that the Department of Justice has opened an investigation into my sentencing. I welcome this investigation. It will prove that the 4 prosecutors in my case belong in prison and that they have lied repeatedly about what transpired. But that's not the way the mainstream media plays it. The way they play it is the president pressured Barr, who pressured the prosecutors to give Stone an easy sentence. Really? 7 to 9 years? That's easy? 40 months that I ultimately got for a crime that allegedly has guidelines of 18 months? First of all, show me where I was given a break. And secondly, prove any evidence of that chain of events. It doesn't exist. Barr denies it. There's no record to contradict that. It's just another fake news media meme.
An amazing story. We'll have to have you
It's
back at some
incredible.
point to pursue this. We got about a minute. When a person gives their life to Jesus Christ, like I did many years ago, that you're in Christ, and God has a plan for you. What do you think at this point in your life is God's plan for you, Roger Stone?
Well, it's very hard to say. There is an evangelist now passed away named Kim Clement, who has a prophecy in which he says that a simple stone, remember that name, he says, will save the presidency. Is that a reference to me? I'm not saying that it is. Many, many, many Christians believe it is. I guess my position is that I do believe my life was spared for some purpose. When God decides what that purpose is or decides that he's ready to reveal me to it, I will do what the Lord requires. In the meantime, I will continue to do everything I can as a private citizen to ensure the reelection of this great president and tell the truth as I know it. And I will be out there battling the globalists and the liars and the fraudsters and the people like George Stephanopoulos in the fake news media every single day.
Amen, Roger Stone. Yeah,
Amen.
all right. God does a plan for you, and we'll talk about that tonight at the Jexit rally. You take care.
I look forward to it.
Great.
Many thanks.
Wow.
Wow.
Was
I didn't know that whole
powerful.
story.
Wow.
Man.
It is Trento hour by a great, it's amazing. And that truth prevailed for him. And I thank God for his, I respect him, and I'm inspired by his devotion to God and to faith. And I'm glad that he's not being silent. He's not silencing himself. And I hope that all those people who truly deserve to, that are the true criminals, that they are brought to justice. And that was really an incredible
That was pretty amazing.
testimonial.
Yeah. And people who are listening to this that know he was viewed as one of the most diabolical, despicable, dirty tricks guy in the world in politics and from the enemy side, the left side. And he's a tough guy. He fights hardball. He's a fighter. And, deathbed conversion. Oh, it's phony, all of that. But again, I've been a Christian for 35, 40 years, whatever. I have seen these sort of dramatic. Chuck Colson was one of them. He went to the school that I went to. He came there. He was with the Nixon administration, that whole thing, and turned his life around and started prison fellowship. Right. So I think if God calls somebody like Robert, erase his past. He uses the skill set he had in all that he did to apply for the sake of the kingdom of God going forward. Very exciting. I think we're almost done with the show here, according to that clock so fast.
Yeah, great show. How did so quickly? Great show. Great guest with Laura, Roger Stone. Look forward to the rest of the week.
Tomorrow
got more
we got
good things coming.
E.J. Jackson. the black pastor. He's going to tell us about Dr. Jackson, somebody saying. It's
EW.
about E.W. Jackson. E.W. Jackson. You're going to tell us about Constitution Day. Constitution was signed in 1787 on the 17th of September. We're going to do that. But then Kevin Sorbo is going to tell us that the fraudsters and crazy with climate change, Newsom and Biden are just out in left field on the facts. Science. Go. We'll see you. But watch the
See you tonight at Jexit.
The United West, 6 p.m.